Bihar with 40 seats is perhaps one of the most difficult states to predict in the Lok Sabha elections. Though there are two clear camps, the NDA on one side and the Mahagathbandhan on the other, so many players have switched sides over the last 5 years that calculating any outcomes has become a tough job. Take, for example, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. He left the NDA before the 2014 election and was left with just 2 seats in that contest. He then joined the RJD-Congress alliance in the assembly polls and came back as chief minister, but then split again to join the BJP and remain chief minister. Several smaller players have also flip-flopped. So where does that leave the complex situation of Bihar? Will the Modi and Nitish duo be a tough challenge for the RJD-Congress combination? To speak more on the battle for Bihar, I'm joined now by Praveen Shahi. He's Associate Professor from Central University of South Bihar, and Satyavrat Mishra, Senior Principal Correspondent, Business Standard in Patna. Thank you to the two of you for joining us. And as we have been doing in all of our deep dives into how states will respond in this election, we're choosing to speak to people from the state with their ear to the ground. So let me start with you, Satyavrat. As a journalist, what do you see on the ground in terms of the response to the campaigns? It's an interesting situation because I think for the first time, Nitish Kumar will be canvassing for Narendra Modi as Prime Minister.
Yeah, that's true. This is the first time that Nitish Kumar is canvassing for Narendra Modi. If you remember, almost 10 years ago, he practically banned Narendra Modi from entering the state. As far as your question is concerned, the participation in this poll of the people is somewhat lukewarm. First, we have the lowest number in the first phase of polling. We have the lowest number of voting percentage in the state. As far as the campaign is concerned, it's a mixed bag. Sorry, it's a mixed bag. Some people are quite happy with the election. Some people are saying that it's a matter of great pride that we are a democracy. We have to choose the government carefully. While others are saying that okay, कुछ नहीं बदलने वाला है and 5 साल के बाद सब कुछ same रहेगा. One thing which I find quite remarkable this time is that unemployment is one of the big issues in the state this time. People are asking about jobs. People are asking about why we have to migrate from the state. People are asking about the performance of the government in terms of irrigation capacities. The people are asking about in terms of performance of the government in terms of education, health services, irrigation facilities. Once again, sorry. These are the things which people are asking about.
We'll go down to the issues in more detail, but let me get opening comments from Praveen Shahi on how he sees the situation in Bihar this time. And it's very interesting because, like I mentioned, you have Nitish and Modi on one side. Nitish is canvassing for Modi as Prime Minister. On the other side, Lalu Yadav is in jail. Right now he's in hospital, but he's not able to campaign. It's all down to Tejasvi Yadav. And the RJD is contesting just 19 seats. Have they been too generous with their allies, Mr. Shahi?
No, see, we have to keep in mind 2 things. Maybe Nitish Kumar will be canvassing for Narendra Modi for the first time, but it is not for the first time that JDU and BJP are together in Bihar. So that's one. Second, Satyavrat rightly pointed out that there have been some lower voters turnout this time. But certainly, if you look at this, this is just the first phase, and only 4 parliamentary constituencies have gone for the elections. Now, still 36 seats would go for elections in the next 6 phases. So we have to see how the voters behave in these 6 phases. Now, coming back, whether Lalu Prasad Yadav was generous in terms of the distribution of seats or, whether he is trying to face the reality. My understanding is that, perhaps the way they have tried to distribute the seats among their allies in Mahagathbandhan, that has to do with the realities and possibly the way this challenge could be faced with respect to NDA. So NDA has Lok Jan Shakti Party, NDA has BJP, and NDA has JDU, as the principal ally. And BJP in its own way has tried to give, and this is how at least we can see in media that BJP has tried to give more seats and consider its allies' claims to defend seats. But in my understanding, every state has its own dynamics compared to the national level issues which may come into play. So as far as Bihar is concerned, certainly development issues may be important factors, but I believe most of the political parties are still banking upon the caste factor and how various dynamics based on caste and community lines may work out. So that is something possibly we cannot rule out. That is possibly something we cannot deny.
Now, let me come,
So let's see,
let me come to
how
that in a bit more detail, Mr. Shahi, the caste factor in Bihar and how that matrix will work with the combinations we've seen this time around.
If you look at the previous elections and how different combinations have functioned, so the total vote percentage of different political parties, if you look at the breakup and during the previous elections, so that is possibly one of the combinations would play slightly a decisive role. This is what I would say. So if JDU and Janata Dal can come together, Janata Dal managed to poll somewhere between 20 to 25% during the past few elections, if I remember correctly, as far as the data goes. So is the case with BJP, and as far as JDU is concerned, JDU also manages to get some percentage of votes. So the point I'm trying to make that one of the political parties singly or on their own, they are not in a position to make the winnable condition. So that is where they have to come together.
Okay, so is it about personalities? Right. Is it about personalities, and how does it play in? Satyavrata, let me ask you this question here. How does Nitish Kumar's flip-flops play into his campaigns at this time? Praveen Shahi pointed out that it's not the first time the JDU and the BJP has been together, but then they fought an assembly election with the RJD recently, and then he switched. How has that gone down with voters?
The voters are particularly not very much the base vote bank of NDA is the upper caste vote bank. They are particularly happy with Nitish Kumar joining hand with RJD. These upper caste voters are particularly happy about that. However, in the OBC and the EBC, extremely backward caste, which and the Mahadalit, which are the vote banks that Nitish Kumar cultivated for himself along with the women voters, are very much are seeing that as this are not particularly happy with this flip flop. However, still, we have to see how this plays out in the results.
Satyavrata talked about unemployment being one of the key issues. Mr. Shahi, what about issues of national security and the Balakot strikes? Are they still resonating with people in the state? What about key issues like the promise of 10% reservation to the general category, including upper castes?
I was trying to tell that if we look at Nitish Kumar, then Nitish Kumar certainly carries a better image than other local politicians in Bihar, and certainly his first tenure was considered to be successful in terms of delivering things on the ground, especially creation of infrastructure and maintaining better security environment in this state. So that benefit definitely is with Nitish Kumar, and and some benefit still would go with him. And of course, when Nitish Kumar had come with Janata Dal during the last assembly elections, and if you see post-elections, that's where things were seen to be going little bit away out of control as far as Nitish Kumar was concerned. Coming back as far as the issues are concerned, what kind of issues are important as far as this election goes. Employment certainly is one of the issues as far as and I think Senator Satyawat rightly pointed out that unemployment is certainly one of the issues. But if you consider the way 10% reservation has been announced for the extremely backward classes from upper castes, I think there are two kinds of debate which we could see, especially among the informed circle. First is that where are the government jobs for which the government would give 10% 10% reservation. So there would be very little to offer to the extremely backward classes from among the upper castes. So that debate also remains. But apart from that, certainly it has gone a bit positive way to create a feeling among the upper caste that the government, especially the BJP, may be thinking something for them. So, but I think it would be too early to make any assessment that what kind of benefits electorally, right? Electorally, the BJP may get.
No, so let me ask Satyawat the reverse. How are other castes and backward castes looking at this reservation issue?
Well, most of the other caste, other backward caste, OBCs or EBCs or even Mahadalits have not taken it in a good sense, particularly the upper caste. They think that the government said, if you can remember, in 2015, the Mohan Bhagwat made one of the comments about reservation, and it very much shattered the NDA's game plan in that Bihar election of 2015. In this election, the OBCs, the EBCs, the Mahadalits have not taken it in the upper caste reservation in a good way.
Okay, what about the issue of national security, Satyawat? After Pulwama and then the Balakot strikes, it was a huge national issue.
Yeah,
is it still resonating in Bihar?
Yeah. It's a big issue in Bihar. It's an issue in Bihar. It's a big issue in Bihar. People are saying that what Narendra Modi has done, what the air strikes, the surgical strikes, they are all very much happy about. It's definitely an issue.
One more point that I would like a view from on both of you. Yes, Praveen Shahi, do you want to come in on the national security aspect and how big an issue it is?
Yes, I'll just add a little bit. As far as the people of Bihar are concerned, you have to see the number of people who would be informed as far as national security issues are concerned. So that thing possibly, we have to keep in mind. Generally what we see in the media, especially the reports with respect to India's stand vis-a-vis counter-terrorism issues or against Pakistan, those things especially do have some effect. As Satyawat rightly pointed out. But as far as national security issues are concerned, the large masses which possibly would be below poverty line. So for them, especially things on the ground would matter much, and especially developmental issues. Let me tell you that still potable water, that the issue of employment, hygiene, and the infrastructure, electricity, all these things would be very much important locally. Although I would agree with Satyawat that national security issues, they do have some influence, especially the informed section of the Argos. So, to that extent, I would agree with Satyawat.
So, Mr. Shahi, how do you look at the situation right now? Are the two sides neck and neck, or do you see one side moving ahead?
To me, it is too early to say anything because, looking at the voting trend and out of the 40 seats, only, as I told you, only 4 have gone for polls. So I think it would be too early for me to predict anything. So I would
No,
wait at least,
wise decision.
for the second.
Wise decision. It's a risky proposition to predict anything in this state. I just want to get, Satyavrat, your view on one point on Tejasvi Yadav. This is a very interesting election from that perspective as well. Because his father cannot campaign, he's become the lead campaigner for the RJD. And the big face, for the Mahagathbandhan effectively in Bihar. How are people responding to him?
We have to look at this question in another manner. It's a big test for Tejasvi Yadav, as much as big test for Rahul Gandhi as much as it is for Tejasvi Yadav. See, I have this election, the RJD's campaign is being super headed by Tejasvi Yadav this time. He's also facing some distant content from within his family also. So if he emerges victorious, the prospect will be brighter for him in the next 2020 Bihar Assembly election.
Yeah. Mr. Shahi, any inputs there on the role of Tejasvi Yadav and how key this election is for him?
Not much, but certainly, as Satyavrat also pointed out, one thing is that, on the positive side, he has his, image as a young politician. But he also carries the baggage of RJD, so that's possibly something on which he may have to work. And coming clean as far as the image of RJD as a party, and he being the heir or the carrying on the legacy of his father, that way possibly he may have some difficult tasks ahead.
Difficult task for Tejasvi and actually for all the parties in fray in Bihar. It's going to be a tough contest and we'll wait and see what happens. Thank you so much, Praveen Shahi and Satyavrat Mishra, for joining us today and giving us some perspective on the battle that lies ahead.